Okay, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory be unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace, salutations, and blessings unto the hopeful elect. Pushing his truth in sincerity throughout the four corners of the globe, in the sincere hopes of being delivered in these last days. And again, double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone that rule well. Okay. Now, this is going to be a very brief video, and inspiration is drawn from these two incidences that you see here on the screen. The first one from ABC News. It says California protester left blind in one eye is among string of violent run-ins with federal ICE agents. I assume that says, okay. And one of the brothers has sent me a video of this particular incident and how they handled this dude. It was crazy, okay, absolutely crazy. And as you can see, he's actually he's blind in the left eye as a result of how they handled him and how they shot him in the face with the bullets, so on and so forth. And now you have this second one. This is from the LA Times, and it says second man shares horrific story of being blinded by officers at anti-ICE rally. Okay, so I believe they use a type of soft bullet in these particular scenarios, but as you can see, even it being labeled a particular softer bullet, it can still cause a great deal of damage, okay, like you can see here. And funny enough, both of these guys were shot in the left eye, all right, which is interesting. But there you have it. As we've been warning you, all right, we've been quoting this a lot within the last few weeks, because it's relative to what's happening right now. They shall be like madmen, sparing none, okay? And through this situation, all right, you're seeing how Yahweh Shem Yahushai is putting a very, ferocious, non-forgiving, violent spirit, upon these agents, upon these officers, man. Okay? And it's only gonna get worse. All right, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahushai, it's only going to get worse. And these are the necessary evils that we're going to witness and that must transpire, in this kingdom before, Esau Edom and his kingdom, is thrown down. Okay, as I quoted yesterday, first with violence, shall that great city Babylon be thrown down, man. Okay? Yahweh Shai, is coming back to bring down Esau Edom with great violence. Okay? Which ultimately, the height of that violence is through, the ICBM missiles. Okay? The intercontinental ballistic missiles during World War III. Okay? That's the height, of that violence and the destruction of Babylon the Great. Okay, and that's what we're, patiently anticipating and waiting for, the destruction of this man's kingdom. So we report on these events, on these signs, because it's all leading up to that main, climax, which is, the day of doom, all right? Doomsday, all right? The return of Yahweh Shai, okay? And this is just a few examples of how brutal things are going to get, in these last days. As you can see, in real time, This is how brutal things are getting. And like I said yesterday, they are normalizing, brutality. All right? They are normalizing brutality, and they are making this acceptable, using, social media, okay? And showing you these images and showing you the possibilities of what can become of you, if you go against the system. All right. So it's only going to get more draconian and more, violent the closer that we get to the end. Okay. Now, right quick, let's get Revelation chapter 13. And verse 11. And as it reads, and I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. Okay. Now the two horns represent, the two parties. All right, the Republicans and the Democrats. Going back to ancient Rome, you had the plebeians and the patricians. Okay, everything is reincarnated. All right, the two sides. So it says, and he had two horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. Okay, going into his harsh laws, draconian law that we're about to witness, in these last days in great effect. Okay, great draconian law is coming, to the land, of America. All right, to Babylon the Great. Well, let me correct myself. It's not coming. It's already here. All right, and that you're now experiencing it, and it's being broadcasted throughout the four corners of the globe. Okay, so it's already here, but it's going to intensify and it's going to get worse. Okay, so Kol Haloyim La Yahweh Bashim Yahushai Bashim Akakudash. All right, so with that, I'll say Shalom.